first 8 races. Testament to the strength and depth in this year's ARCA Re Series. And with just over a third of the season gone, you can expect the list of victors to grow. 5 straight races have taken their toll on some. Today, the ARCA Re Series takes on the 2-mile, high-bank, ultra-fast Michigan International Speedway. This is a school of hard knocks. Ask Jason Jarrett or Chad McCumbee. Wildcard Travis Quaffle stole valuable points from the field with his win last week at Pocono, and another aims to do the same today. Female phenom Aaron Crocker sat on the pole in Nashville and again is behind the wheel of an ARCA stock car. A mistake took her out of contention. Will today's run make her the season's 7th winner, or can another step up to steal the show? The Hantz Group 200 starts now. Clouds are over a racetrack here at the Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan, but it looks like the rain's gonna hold off. And we're set to go racing with the ARCA Re Series, the Hantz Group 200, round 9 of the 2005 ARCA Re Series, set to go live on Speed Channel. Here's a look at the weather. As we said, there's been a threat of rain here all day long. Track temperature about 65 degrees, or the air temperature, I should say. The track temperature at 82 degrees. You see the humidity at 57%. Winds coming out of the north-northwest at about 5 miles an hour. The clouds are what we've been watching all afternoon long, but they seem to be holding up and not trapping any of that moisture on the racetrack, keeping everything nice and dry on this big 2-mile oval here at Michigan. Well, of course, one of the big stories with the ARCA Re Series this season is Aaron Crocker, and she's standing by with Bob Dillner.
Actually standing by with her car right now, Ralph. Of course, Danica Patrick finished 4th in the Indy 500. And of course, all the attention now on Aaron Crocker here in the ARCA Re Series. And she too did lead laps in her first ever big event here in ARCA at Nashville. But check this out. She had a flat tire in practice, wrecked up this front end of this race car, the right front, but the team has gone to work on this car and tried to put it back together. She will start from the 9th spot here today. She's just one of the developmental drivers here in ARCA today. The 32 of Danny O'Quinn. He's a Roush Racing development driver. He will start from the 7th spot, and just in front of them, the 99, usually driven by Kenny Schrader here in the ARCA Re Series. Kevin Hamlin, a 2-time NASCAR Northwest Series champion, is in that automobile today, and he finished 5th earlier this year in his first ARCA start. But the man that everybody has to beat here today, starting on the pole, is with our Lindsay Czarniak.
Kyle Krisiloff says finally it's his first ever ARCA Re Series pole. The Hendrick Motorsports developmental driver hasn't quite had the season that he has expected, but this is exactly where he wants to be today. Kyle, do you look at this as maybe your chance to put all that bad luck behind you?
I sure hope so. I mean, this whole team's been working so hard this year, and we've been trying to figure out what's been holding us back. So I think we found some things, and hopefully the rest of the year should be really good.
How good is your race car today?
It's pretty good. We were really good yesterday and in qualifying. This morning we did some runs on some older tires, but I think we're going to be pretty good.
And his best race this season was last week at Pocono. That, of course, is when he finished in 7th place. Guys?
All right, Lindsay, thank you. It's going to be a great day of racing here with the ARCA Re Series at this big 2-mile oval in the Irish Hills around Brooklyn, Michigan. We're just west of downtown Detroit, a very important race for all the manufacturers, as all of the big 3 are built within the surrounding area of Detroit. Everybody wants to take this trophy home. Stay with us. We'll have the start right after these words. Channel's coverage of the ARCA Re Series is brought to you by Remax, outstanding agents, outstanding results, and by America's pork producers. Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway on this Father's Day weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there getting ready for that big Sunday celebration. Of course, we'll have a lot of racing on the Fox family of networks for you to entertain yourself with on Father's Day. We should have control of the remote, so racing it should be. We're going to kick it off with the ARCA Remax Series here in just a few minutes. Don Radebaugh will be working pit road for us as well.
You know, Joey Miller's got the full attention of the troops for sure. First season on tour, already second in points, only 40 markers away from Frank Kimmel. In his last 4 races, he's finished no worse than third. But he's never raced at MIS before. In fact, the car he's in today, it's never raced at all. They got the car from Braun Racing. And so it's going to be a test of man and machine today, 200 miles ahead for Joey Miller. He's going to need an A+ for sure to get the job done. Back upstairs.
All right, Don, thank you very much. There's a look at the number 9 of Joey Miller. Second in the point standings right now. A lot of expectations on that young man. Hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Shaheen alongside of Dan Bardis, a guy who knows a lot about racing here at this racetrack with the ARCA Remax Series. There's one other thing, unfortunately, he knows a lot about, and that's fuel mileage.
Fuel mileage is an issue here at Michigan. I tell you, 2-mile track, when the field spreads out, they get pulled apart, and fuel mileage does become an issue. The guys get settled in.
It bit you here, didn't it?
It actually did. I should have won a race here at Michigan, but guess what? We ran a little short and ran out of fuel.
I'm hearing a little bit. 2 stops, 3 stops. What do you think? Seems like a lot of the crew chiefs aren't sure just yet.
Really looked like 2 stops if the race goes as a normal race, but you never know. Depending on what the cautions happen here tonight, you know, it could be 3 stops, could be, you know, two stops. Definitely going to be a 2-stop race.
Been a bit of a chilly day here so far. How is that going to affect things?
Well, as a driver, we like it a little cooler. It's a lot cooler in the driver compartment. The motors generate more horsepower. We have more grip on the racetrack, so all around, these cooler temperatures definitely a plus for a race car driver here at Michigan.
And how about tires? What do you think? Will we see anything with the tires today, those Hoosiers?
The only issue that I think we're going to see with tires is some teams put a lot of camber in these tires to really make them turn in the center of the corner. You burn out the insides or the outsides of the tires. It could come back and bite you. So the teams that got the right adjustments on the camber here today will be up front.
Welcome back to the ARCA Remax Series, Michigan International Speedway here at the Hantz Group 200. So let's fire up those engines.
On behalf of the Hantz Group and our valued clients, drivers, start your engines!
There's a look at Frank Kimmel. Some of our onboard cameras will be bringing to you today as we get set for 200 miles here at this big Michigan Oval. Well, the point standings and the points chase, that's a big thing about Frank Kimmel this year, Dan. He's got 6 championships. He wants that record 7. He's got a 40-point lead over Joey Miller at this stage.
Frank, again, savvy driver. I can't say it enough. Frank and Bill Kimmel race for the big picture. They're here to win championships. They're so savvy. They're so smart. He said, hey, I had a 3rd-place qualifying car here today. He said, that's just what I wanted. The car will come to me towards the end of the race, and you can guarantee Frank Kimmel will be fighting for the win here today.
Well, let's show you the starting grid for today's race. Kyle Krisloff on the pole. Ken Weaver starting right alongside of him. Ken Weaver's been awful quick lately.
Man, that team's been up and down, roller coaster ride for them, but they've really got the things working for them in their favor right now.
There's the 6-time champ, Frank Kimmel. Always expect big things out of him. And Kevin Hamlin driving for Kenny Schrader. Danny O'Quinn, a lot of people learning about him this weekend, and Chad Blunt's been a winner already.
Danny O'Quinn, 2nd runner-up in the Gong Show and the Roush deal. That's a Roush R&D deal for Roush, a development deal, so and it's going to be strong.
There's that fast female, Aaron Crocker, and Chad McCumbee, who you and I have spent some time talking with his car owner, and he thinks this kid's the real deal.
Andy Hillenberg knows race car drivers. He's been around racing a long time. He says, hey, this Chad McCumbee is the real thing. He says, I look for him to really make things happen.
David Reagan's been very quick on the short tracks, and Joey Miller sitting 2nd in the points. Maybe making up some ground today.
Joey said it had a great race car in practice. He said it would drive anywhere on the racetrack, and here at Michigan, that's what you have to have late in a race.
Mario Goslin, a proven veteran, and TJ Bell into his sophomore season and fast on that gas.
Man, both them guys had tough breaks there at Pocono, but hopefully they'll be strong here today at Michigan.
One of the names we'll talk a lot about today, Bubba Pollard. This young man, we got some interesting stories about him. Mike Garrity carrying the Hantz Group logo on the side of his race car. Tim Steele from nearby, and another fast female, Christy Passmore, the 91.
Yep, Christy's been there just struggling a little bit there in qualifying, but she said, I feel good about the race car.
Making our way back through the field, Larry Hollenbeck will start inside of row 11. Walt Brannon, they've made some changes to that car. He's listed in 24th, that's where he qualified, but they had a loose suspension bolt. They put that back into the car after the car was impounded, so he's actually going to take the green from the tail end of the field. You see Jason Jarrett on the outside of row 14. Zach Chappell will start inside of the next row, back alongside of Michael Simcoe. Mark Gibson and Bill Eversole will make up row 16. Norm Benning all the way back in the outside of row 18, and that became number 84 of his. And here's a look at the last page.
See Daryl Basham, longtime veteran in the series, and there's Joe Cooksey. Got some good cars in the back, and I tell you, Michigan's a track where you have to have driver feel. You're running so fast here that the car, you have to be able to feel the back of the race car, and it's so important to be able to do that. And sometimes it just requires a little bit of a spring change, a little bit of a wedge tire adjustment for these teams to get that feel. The feel is so important here at Michigan.
Pace laps are underway. Here are those that'll be watching right along with the rest of us on TV. But boy, you look at how many cars were here.
Man, great field in this ARCA Re series again. What a great series, and it's a breeding ground for drivers to come up into the bush in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. So as the weeks go on and the races go on, we get more and more interest. That's a good thing for the series.
Now we got a bunch of views for you here today. Andy Belmont's going to carry one of our onboard cameras. He's starting 26th, the driver out of Pennsylvania.
160 career starts for Andy in the Booty Beer sponsored car. 7th place qualifying effort for Andy at Pocono. What a great qualifying effort for him.
Michael Garrity carrying this view for us. He's got the Hantz Group all over the side of his race car. Big day for him, driving the Dodge right here in Michigan. An important day for that team.
Restarts in 2005. 2 of them are top 5 finishes. Good year for Mike. He's going to run all the super speedways this year, so he's got a great program starting.
One of those coming at the last race at Pocono too, so they got a little momentum with them. Johnny Leonard giving us this view. Johnny's going to roll out 13th today out of Cape Coral, Florida, near you.
Yeah, great qualifying effort for Johnny. Hey, number 13 car qualifying 13th. That could be a good omen for him.
Well, he's finished one spot better than that here before. Frank Kimmel will have another view.
Coming off a great 2nd place finish at Pocono. No, we'd have liked to won there, but unfortunately, hey, great top 3 finish.
That's actually Ken Weaver. We thought we were going to Frank Kimmel, but it's Ken Weaver out of Dallas, Texas. This is the driver we were talking about. He's been showing lots of speed lately. Starting 2nd on the outside of the front row.
Talked to Ken. He said, man, what an awesome race car. He said, I flat-footed in qualifying. I said, you really did? And he said, I promise you I did. Ken Schrader will be with us later in the show, and we can talk to Ken about flat-footing here at Michigan.
And there's the veteran. At 43 years of age, Frank Kimmel, arguably the greatest ARCA driver of all time. Starting 3rd today. And joining us in the booth just in time for the green flag, Ken Schrader, nice to have you with us.
Good to be here. We had a little business to take care of before we could get up here, but got that done and looking forward to watching this ARCA Re race.
All right, well, let's head downstairs real quick for some final thoughts.
Ralph Chad Blatt won his very first ARCA Re Series race here at Michigan International Speedway, and they have a lot of incentive here today. That's because a blown motor ruined their day at Pocono 1 week ago. They're all revved up to get back on track here. And Chad says, we brought the same car that we had here at Pocono to Michigan because it ran so well there yet last week. He thinks he's got a very good race car. In fact, he said it's sort of like the movie Days of Thunder. He's got the tires perfectly matched, and he's got the chassis that is perfect for today's race. Donnie?
Walt Brannon's been struggling since they unloaded, but in final practice they found a loose bolt on the track bar adjuster, tightened it, and boom, they rocketed to 4th in the final practice charts. Now, but because they worked on the car after the impound, he's going to have to start from the tail end. But I'm telling you, this kid's got a rocket ship. He's going to have to pedal hard, but look for Walt Brannon toward the front before this one's over. Lindsay.
Don, one driver that everyone should watch out for today in the field is A.J. Hendrickson. He was involved in a wreck back at Daytona, the same wreck that has sidelined Billy Venturini all season. And A.J. in that wreck suffered 3 broken bones in his left hand, and this is his first trip back to racing. Last year at Michigan, he finished 3rd. If he can keep the pain away, he is suited up to be a contender.
Here's a look at the race analysis for today's event. 40 cars taking the green flag, 100 laps, 200 miles, and a healthy purse there, Kenny.
Oh, $236,000. We see here in the pit window, though, it looks like it's going to have to wind up being a 2-stop race. You know, sometimes you can pick the car out where it goes 50 laps and make it in 1 stop, but the cautions and everything got to fall just right.
I've even heard some crew chiefs, and Dan and I were talking about this, say 3 stops. Is that realistic, do you think, or is it going to be 2?
I would guess 2, but just depends on how the yellows fall and what the leaders do. If the leaders come in, I mean, everybody will come in.
Key to going fast at this racetrack, Kenny, as we get set to go to green. What do you have to do to be a winner here today?
You have to maintain that speed through the center of those turns. You know, the turns are so big here at Michigan International, and the faster you go through them turns, obviously, the faster you get down those straightaways, and it's such a momentum track that's the key.
Nice big field of 40 cars set to go racing. Here we go. We're green with the ARCA Re Series live from Michigan International Speedway. Oh, in trouble on the front straightaway right at the start. 3 cars through the infield, 4 cars through the grass. And the yellow is already back out.
You know, we see this a lot of times, and you would think that everybody running 55 mile an hour and accelerating would be pretty simple, but believe me, it's not. Someone misses a shift or someone just doesn't shift quick enough and the guy behind them's got to run, all of a sudden you're into the 1 car, you have to check up, everybody behind you runs out of room, and we see multi-cars spinning through the grass like that.
Well, let's see if we can figure out what happened here. Stacking up behind the 10, Kenny.
Well, Mr. Gibson had to slow down, and the 21 of Bowser got into the back of him, and that started things. Now why Mark Gibson had to slow down, I don't really know, but something obviously happened in front of him because he started to go to the left a little bit to miss it, but couldn't quite. See, that way we had 2 guys get hit from the back.
Right into the back of Reagan's number 90, and we saw the 10 car, Jim Pate, in there. Here's the 1 car, pretty tore up is Andy Belmont's front.
Well, you see that smoke out of the exhaust, the radiator is destroyed in that car. So he's got huge issues for the day. I'd say his day is basically done for sure.
Unfortunate for Andy Belmont, the Booty Beer car. It's just like Kenny says, it's really uncalled for on the starts. First lap of the race, guys get a little antsy, a little hyped up, and hit the gas when really they need to be just riding that brake pedal and holding things down. But unfortunately, you get in the log jam, and that's what happens.
Todd's got more on Mark Gibson.
Yeah, they're working on Mark Gibson, doing all they can to get him back race ready. They've already changed right side tires, and while they're here under caution, might as well get the left side too. They don't appear to be in any big hurry. Fortunately, Michigan International Speedway is 2 miles around, but what a bad way to start for Mark Gibson. He's had some great runs at Michigan through the years. He was 2nd twice here back in 1997 as they beat pound and bang on that $70,000 race car, the Williams Brothers Lumber Chevrolet. He's got DEI power in that thing this weekend, so he had high hopes for a great run, and they are taking their time under caution. They'll get to the left side, but a very, very ominous start for Mark Gibson, gentlemen.
And already those crew chiefs will start thinking about that calculator, start working that fuel mileage, see how many laps of yellow we get. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Hantz Group 200 here at Michigan International Speedway. We're under yellow after the start of this race never got started. And look at poor David Reagan. Kenny, just as he got down to pit road, the tire came off.
Well, we'll have to see. Hopefully we can see what happened here, but it looks like they came in the pits to do a little work. Obviously, at some point in time, they loosened the nuts on the right rear tire, and I don't know if they changed or what, but he took back off down pit road at pit road speed, slow, and the tire came off.
Man, tough break for David Reagan. Snake bit, you know, fuel on the fire, really.
But Dan, he's really been on a pretty good run here lately, having a great run at Linear Georgia, making some good points runs, and now this.
He really does. He's working with Robert Yates. Robert's helping him a little bit with some race cars. Robert Yates Power, trying to do a little driver development there, and he's got a, you know, it's just tough. It's just a roller coaster ride. And again, that's it. Racing sometimes just reaches out and bites you.
Of course, the son of former Cup star Ken Reagan. Lindsay?
Well, an extremely early end to Andy Belmont's day. Andy, what happened?
ARCA racing, you know, you come here to the big tracks, and I don't know, I went to the rear. You know, we broke a transmission there in happy hour, so we went to the rear, and I was just following the 90. You know, you can't see through these cars, and all I saw was smoke and cars spinning. So early exit for the Booty Beer car, you know. It just seems like it's been our fate. We signed Booty on, and it just seems like we just can't get it right. I just, unbelievable, you know, just, you know, like last week, great qualifying run and then break a motor. I mean, we just can't put it all together. So, I don't know, somebody checked up. I mean, it's an ARCA race. What are you going to do? They got to learn somewhere.
Guys.
All right, Lindsay, thank you. Well, they keep circulating under yellow, so we'll take care of some more business. So when we come back, we'll have plenty of green flag racing for you live here on Speed.
It's about talent,
He is out in front, and he wins it!
sportsmanship,
Bobby Allison is shot in second.
and fame. Only the best earn the title Speed Channel Driver of the Year. This quarter's nominees are Greg Biffle, Jimmy Johnson, Dan Weldon, Danica Patrick, Sebastian Bourdais, Steve Kenzer, Greg Anderson, and John Force. Log on to speedtv.com now and cast your vote for Driver of the Quarter.
Tonight on Speed, catch Formula One. It's a power battle at the Canadian Grand Prix. And we're not just talking horsepower, but mental power is key here as well. So strap yourself in for the Canadian Grand Prix. Formula One tonight at midnight, only on Speed. Big F1 weekend on Speed Channel. Of course, the U.S. Grand Prix going on this weekend. We will have all that live for you on Sunday as well. Well, here's a good look at all the guys that are entered in today's race who are calling this a home track event, including Mike Garrity, Bill Eversole, and a whole bunch of guys. And Kenny, heck, you probably raced at just about every one of those racetracks in those various cities, didn't you?
Well, some of them, you know, we haven't been racing much up here in Michigan as we'd like to, but boy, what a hotbed for late model pavement tracks. I mean, Michigan is where you go to Michigan, Wisconsin to try to see how good you are, and it's neat to see a lot of those guys come from the smaller tracks over here in Tackle MIS.
Okay, Dan, so you got all keyed up, coming to the green flag, and as soon as you get there, it goes yellow. You've idled around now for another half a dozen laps, and you have to get ready to do it again. Where's your mindset at this point?
Well, I can assure you the spotters up top are talking to their drivers saying, guys, you need to calm down a little bit. It's a long race. We got a lot of laps, so hopefully that opened a few eyebrows, you know, that little wreck there. So if it was me, I'd be calmed down, taking a deep breath. Take it easy.
Well, let's see if they can get it better this time. Restart, lap 7. We're back to green with the ARCA Re Series. In the 98, losing a few positions, including to the 13 of Johnny Leonard. 2-3 wide. Look how high up the racetrack. Wow, now look at Aaron gas up through the middle of the corner, Kenny.
Well, we saw it in Nashville. If she gets past, it doesn't mean she's giving up. She's coming back. The lady has a lot of talent. It's neat to see Ray running her in the car here.
Very cautious driver, uses her head. That's what I talked to Ray about. He says, what I like about this girl is she knows how to get her done. She can hang it out in the World Outlaws car. I know that she's got the guts to do it, but she's got a good head on her, and she knows when to step on the gas at the right time. It's so early in the race right now. She come off at turn 2. We got to get some heat in these tires. The car may have wiggled a little bit, so she laid back out of it a little bit, but she'll regain them spots.
Back to the front, Frank Kimmel in the red number 46 in second place. You're on board with him. Tucking in behind Kyle Krisolov, the early leader here today.
We've talked about this some in the past, and we talked about it a little bit last week. Whenever at one of these big tracks on the ARCA Series, Frank is right there behind the leader at the start, that's a sign that he's real happy, and you know he's going to be stout at the end of the day.
Seems to be able to close in at will, doesn't he? Right to the bottom. And maybe into the lead.
There's for the lead down the front straight. What's so cool about Michigan, the track is so wide. It's some 5 car widths wide. You can run way up on the outside of the wall, get up next to a guy and buff a little bit of air, and then down into turn 1. It's just such a great facility, Kenny. I mean, you can tell us more about it. You're really toting the mail down there in turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to get the pass pulled off because you have a tendency to get loose when you're up underneath them on the inside of the turn. But as we saw in the opening laps there, 3 and 4 wide, room to race it. Now Frank gets her accomplished there, is able to slide up in front of him, gets some air, knows his car, and he'll be okay now. But we saw 3 and 4 wide racing, and that's what, as drivers, we like, because it's not just one groove. You can just move around and find some place that your car works.
True battle of old age and treachery versus youth and enthusiasm going on here. Frank Kimmel, of course, the seasoned veteran, 6 championships, 43 years of age, and young Kyle Krisiloff from a famous racing family. What do you give the edge to, Kenny?
Well, you know, I mean, you gotta go with Frank's experience somewhat, but you gotta remember that Kyle Krisiloff is in this race with the Hendrick Motorsports development team, driver development program. So, I mean, they've got some stock in his future, and they've got a lot of resources behind that operation right now. So, it'll be a good race.
With more on the 46, here's Don.
You know, I watched Frank Kimmel come across the scales earlier in the day. These cars have to weigh 3,400 pounds. His car weighed exactly 3,400. He said something interesting to me. He was a little worried about being too tight today because they set it up for Sonny. But he said that's the good thing about Michigan, the fact that the track's so wide, and if you're too tight, you can just move up the track and make it a wider sweep to compensate for the tight conditions. But I don't know, Schrader, he don't look too tight to me. He looks pretty tough.
He's tight enough to be going fast.
That's right.
You have to be tight enough to really gas that thing up.
Dan, Don mentioned 3,400 pounds, and the Kimmel crew hit it right on the head. Sounds simple, but it's really not, but it's a huge advantage if you can do that.
No, it's not. I mean, 5 pounds or 10 pounds in these cars doesn't sound like a lot of weight to a lot of people, but when you sling 5 or 10 pounds at the G-forces that we're pulling in the corners here, it's really a big deal. So to get these cars at the minimum weight requirement that ARCA requires is so important. As you see on the Nextel Cup side in the Busch Series, they really fight for every single pound that we can.
Here's the new hotbed of stock car racing drivers, Snohomish, Washington. Some kid named Casey Kane came from nearby there. And Kenny, you've got a young guy by the name of Kevin Hamlin we were just looking at in that 99 car, also from Snohomish.
Yeah, well, we're looking out in front of Ken Weaver's car here, and Kevin's the next one up. This is the second Speedway race he's ran for us. He did a real good job at Nashville, or Kentucky. He ran 5th, and we're just getting him some laps, but he really listens. Now, this is the story here as far as you talk about improvement in performance. Ken Weaver and that whole operation has really picked up their program.
Really has. And Ken was so happy. He said, Dan, I've got, for the first time at Michigan, I've got a race car that I can drive anywhere on the racetrack. He said, I could run high, run low. He said, I got a great power plant. He's got Wagner power underneath the hood. They built a fine engine, and he's got the package here today at Michigan.
Bob, what else can you tell us about the 20?
Well, not anymore, guys. Right now, that car just a little bit tight in the corners here at Michigan International, but earlier in the show, Dan talked about how Ken Weaver was flat-footing it around this racetrack, or almost. He said, you know, I get what and asked him about it. He said, you know, Bob, I'm so darn tall in the car. I'm so big at 6'8". I gotta keep my pedal down to the metal just to get a little foot room. But right now, Ken Weaver battling a little tight condition around this racetrack.
Doing a pretty good job of hanging on to it. He sits in 4th place right now after starting 2nd for today's 200-miler. 16 of the 100 laps are completed as Ken Weaver puts another one in the books. Waiting for an opportunity to visit pit road and hopefully adjust on that number 20. Stay with us. We'll be back for more ARCA racing on Speed after this. been an exciting season so far with the ARCA Re Series, and we are under yellow again with some more excitement on the racetrack, courtesy of Michael Simcoe and Mark Gibson's 59. You can see the damage to the race cars now. Let's show you how they got it. Little help from the 38.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, boy, Mark Gibson had nowhere to go. You know, Simcoe got up in front of the 38, but that's where the 38 need to just check up a little bit, you know.
That's Mike Harmon in the 38.
Oh, looked like he turned down under him, but just a little bit too early. He just got the back end bumper. Unfortunate. He drives down in the corner and turns down underneath him and catches the right rear corner. Not a good place to do it, huh, Kenny?
Yeah, he just 38 had a little more momentum right there and ran into the back of it.
Or Mark Gibson, he was a victim of the circumstance, unfortunately.
I would think that maybe we'll be seeing some guys heading to pit road.
Well, when they come off turn 4 this time, they will be completing lap 20, so we'll have to decide, being that's basically half a fuel run, if they decide to complete lap 20 on pit road.
Could be an opportunity for a guy like Ken Weaver, fourth in line there in that yellow number 20, who has been running fast, but as we heard from Bob Dillner, is not exactly happy with the setup on the race car. Frank Kimmel, our leader, seems very strong. Krislov's car seems pretty good. And your car, the white 99, sitting in third, looks pretty good, Kenny.
Yeah, I'm gotta believe they're gonna pit, but that's why I'm not down on the pit box either. I hate making those calls, but I think we see them all coming right now.
55 miles an hour is a pit lane speed. On board Frank Kimmel. And here's Lindsay with Aaron Crocker.
The 98 Dodge of Aaron Crocker is in. The plan here is to take 4 tires, make no adjustments, add some fuel. You see the crew over changing the right side tires. Aaron has said the car doesn't want to turn in the middle. It's done.
Awesome. Frank Kimmel in as well. 4 tires, stop, fuel, no adjustments necessary. Right side tires already on, having a little trouble with the left front here as they continue to work on the advanced auto parts. Ford car finally away. Bob Dillner.
No problems for Kyle Krislov. That car was a little bit tight, so they took a pound of air out of the right front, but a very good stop for the 7 bunch down here on pit road.
Pit road can win it for you and lose it for you, Dan, and Kimmel certainly had some serious problems there getting that left front tire on. It's cost him a bunch.
So unfortunate. We will say one thing. The 7-car Kyle Krislov and Aaron Crocker, some of these guys have Nextel Cup teams coming from the Nextel Cup garage to help these teams out. I was down talking to David Liner, the crew chief on the 7-car, and he said, yep, we've got actually it's a development team. Everything's going to R&D and development, Kenny, and they have actually, Hendricks has an R&D development pit crew, and that's who's crewing that car here today.
A development pit crew for Hendrick Motorsports would be a very good pit crew. You know, I mean, these are guys that are just not ready to quite send over the wall yet to get Jimmy Johnson or Kyle Busch or Jeff Gordon back in the race. But these are good guys.
Getting ready to head back towards the green. So this is going to shake things up a little bit. Oh, looked like Joey Miller, when he got on the gas, saw the rear end break loose on his number 9 as we go back to green, and Miller will be credited as the race leader.
Kind of a weird restart there. Looks like everybody left everybody else a little bit of space, but that's a good thing. Frank Kimmel stuck back in traffic. Unfortunate, you know, he came in and got a few positions back, but he'll work his way back to the front.
He is all the way back in 15th. That one bad pit stop cost him a lot. Miller, second in the points, the driver of that red number 9. And the guy right behind him is Chad McCumbee in the number 11. Here's Krislov in the 7. You saw him buried in the middle there. Krislov is back in 9th, and you're on board with Frank Kimmel, and the freight train number 46 is coming.
Frank having to be aggressively patient if there's such a thing. Again, he's here for the big picture. He knows he can win this race here today, but he has to be careful. You see in the back end there, you see a car up in the wall. The the backside of Frank Kimmel's on board, but looks like we stay green.
Yeah, I think he was up by the wall, possibly a flat or something. We'll have to see what happens. You can see him there at the top of the screen. Oh, as he doesn't cut down in front of that last car. That's a good thing.
Yeah. We might have had our next yellow if he had. Joey Miller, talking to Kevin Sawinski, one of the guys who's working with Joey on this crew, a former ASA Series champion. And I asked him, I said, what's one of the really good things about Joey Miller? And he says that he doesn't know any different. He doesn't understand everything about the business side of this sport yet. And that can be a very good thing, he said, because, Kenny, it doesn't force you to focus on anything. You don't overthink things. You don't worry about things. You just go out and perform.
When all you're doing is driving, you're not worried about the sponsorship or paying the bills or with the employees and stuff, because you're involved in the ownership of the team. That does make the world a whole lot simpler. I mean, remember when I was just driving the sprint car, you walk in with just a helmet bag and you set it down in someone's trailer, and your job was just to drive that car. It was pretty nice.
Chad McCumbie's doing that for Andy Hillenberg. Don, you have more on the driver, number 11.
You know, Ralph, I don't think there's a car owner in this business higher on their driver. Andy Hillenberg said this to me earlier today. I have the very best driver on the grounds today. If I had my choice of all the drivers here today, including the ones in the Cup garage, I choose Chad McCumbie. Mark my word, with the right brake, he'll break all the records. That's what car owner Andy Hillenberg's saying about Chad McCumbie. Schrader, are your car owners saying that about you?
No, they're saying if I keep going like I am, I'm going to break them. That's what they said.
Well, I can tell you this much. Andy Hillenberg must really feel strongly about that, because he's apparently telling everybody those same stats, because he told Dan and I the very same thing on the ride on a golf cart out of the garage area earlier today. He is very high on Chad McCumbie.
Well, you got to remember, that's a former ARCA driver car owner champion. Those words are from him.
Here's Ken Weaver in the 20. He's right in the middle of a big fight for about 5th, 6th position. Got a handful of cars in there, including Bozell in that 62 on the outside, and the 17 machine of A.J. Henriksen, the black number 17. Great shift in some spots.
A.J. back in the car again, having trouble with his hand. Toledo, he stayed out a race or two, but he says things are feeling better. He's been to therapy, and hopefully he can be back in the car for good.
Hey, Kenny, you might feel pretty good about this. Watch your young driver here. So we have a replay of the 99 in action.
Whoa!
That could have been expensive, Schrader.
He didn't say much, you know that, right?
Yeah.
His eyes did. They were as big as saucer.
I'll give him an attaboy on that one.
That's some real dirt racing there, Schrader.
Yeah.
Looked like he was wheeling it around feebly.
Apparently it's loose.
Yeah, you need a spotter. Call that crew chief. Tell him, Donnie, tighten this car up. Scaring me up here in the booth.
That's one step closer, getting those yellow stripes yanked off the bat after you've lived through something like that, huh? Doing a good job, he is.
This is that youthfulness again. It didn't bother him much.
Yeah. Sitting in 10th place right now is Kevin Hamlin. There's that 7 car. Krisilov making his way back up towards the front. Started on the pole, dropped back to 2nd. First round of pit stops, fell farther back, and already making his way up. Battling with Danny O'Quinn. And Dan, that's another young driver we talked about. Krisilov coming through the Hendrick program. Danny O'Quinn tied in a little bit with the Roush Racing organization.
Yep, again, winner, 2nd runner-up in the Gong Show. And for those of you that are not aware of what that is, Jack Roush had basically a qualification for some 100 drivers and went to different racetracks, and process of elimination, they picked a few drivers, and he was a runner-up in the Gong Show, we call it, for Roush. He's driving an ex-Roush Matt Kenseth's car, and it's a development deal, and he's doing a fine job here today.
Kenny, if you had to come up through a development program or make it through a Gong Show when you were a kid, would you have had the career you've got now?
You know, we didn't have those then. You know, things worked a little different, but we sure got no complaints.
Krisilov doing a pretty good job working the bottom side here. O'Quinn not backing off at all, though, and he's going to try to tuck right in behind him. And coming with him, Chad Blunt in the 67, another youngster in that black number 67, showing lots of promise up the inside.
And Ken Reagan's 5 laps down in that group, and might have to question if that's the best thing for him to be doing right now. And as far as chasing points all year, too, he's just really got nothing to gain by being in that group.
I can sure tell you what them guys around him are thinking.
Oh, yeah, I knew that part.
It's David Reagan in that number 90, sitting right in front of Kimmel, who's been fast, exceptionally quick at Lanier, Georgia on the short track earlier this year. Trouble in the early stages of this one, but here comes Kimmel. He is already up to 6th after falling as far back as 15th. That Advanced Auto Parts number 46, and you ride along with him down the backstretch here at MIS. Kenny, these corners look so flat when you're just watching it on TV, but at 18 degrees, fair amount of banking?
A fair amount of banking. That's banked the same as the we got a smoker here, the number 39. That's the same amount of degrees banking as the trial at Daytona.
See Larry Hall back, local entry. Larry's got a lot of laps, test laps on this facility. Fortunately, it looks like he may have lost a motor there, Kenny.
Here's Ken Weaver on board with him, giving O'Quinn a chase down the backstretch. Fighting it out for 6th position. To the bottom goes Weaver, and he'll take over the spot, and we'll take advantage of this opportunity. Take care of some more business. Stay with us here on Speed for more, the ARCA Remax Series. Tomorrow on Speed, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series rocks Michigan. First it was bushwhacking. Now the Cup guys are truck whacking. Has got the series regulars fired up. Catch the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series live in Michigan tomorrow only on Speed. Our own Kenny Schrader will be in that race.
We've got a yellow under the racetrack right now. It's under the yellow flag.
On board with Mike Garrity's Hantz Group number 4, and we saw it looked like a tire rub going on with Bozel's car, the 62, as we were watching off of Leonard's onboard camera there during that promo.
They're calling oil on the racetrack, so whether it may have been oil or maybe a little tire rub. Fortunately, ARCA's taking all the precautions here through the yellow.
There's the 62 Bozel right there.
And it's a very welcome yellow for him.
Yeah, Phil needs to get in there and get that looked at quickly. Well, Joey Miller has hung on to the lead, taking advantage of a round of pit stops to take over the top slot. Kyle Krislov sits in 2nd in his 7. In the 67, that black car right behind him, Chad Blunt, and then Frank Kimmel. That red 46 started 3rd here today. Took over the lead, had a horrible pit stop, fell to 15th, and has worked his way back up inside the top 5. There's his view. Kenny, we were talking about the cloud cover here today. It's been here all afternoon long. Good, bad? How does it affect the car?
Well, it just makes everybody run a little faster. You know, track's nice and cool. The sun isn't beating on it. It's got more grip, and you just maintain a little more speed through those turns because of that grip, and that gets you down the straightaway. So visibility isn't an issue. It just gives you more grip.
Make the driver act a little bit better, too, because he's nice and cool today?
Well, he's nice and cool, and sometimes that'll get him a little bit too much enthusiasm.
And that takes you back to the crew chief and the spotter then to keep him reined in.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, what's going to happen here? Lap 36, 37 when they come by.
What would you do?
That's why I've got a crew chief. Yeah, they just tell me what
You don't
to do.
even want to think about it, huh? Joey Miller had to come in.
Yeah, we had some cars that had not pitted before.
So Miller is in, and Ken Weaver is in as well. And that'll put Krislov, Blunt, and Kimmel back up towards the front. Chad McCumbee, there you see the black number 11. Looks like your car came in too, Kenny. The 99 is in. Down to Don.
With Joey Miller, the Country Joe Holmes Dodge. Right side tires going on. They're going to make a wedge adjustment. The car had been scooting the front end a bit, meaning that it's a little too tight. They're going to make that wedge adjustment, take a little wedge away, and make an adjustment with air pressure as well. Other than that, all routine. 4 tires and gas.
They struggle a little bit to get the tires on and struggle to get him out. Stalls it. There he goes. That'll cost him a few spots. Bob Dillner
Chad McCumbee on pit road. Dave McClure making an adjustment underneath the hood. They're trying to lower the nose of that race car. McCumbee pushing up way high in the corners. They said the nose just is not slamming down to the ground. So Dave McClure making an adjustment on that car. Forced tires as well, but a slow pit stop because of that adjustment.
This could be interesting after the race. You know, the nose has a minimum height, and you usually go through inspection at the minimum height, and then you know, you don't usually lower it during the race. So this could be exciting. Get a little piece of metal by the exhaust pipes flopping on the right side there.
Now it's time to get it off if they're going to get it off, that's for sure.
Well, the folks at Mallory have been working a lot with the ARCA series this year to help improve and reduce the amount of cost that it takes to get good performance out of these ARCA Re-Max series cars. Earlier this season, our Don Radebaugh took a look at the new products from Mallory in the ARCA Re-Max series.
One of the new initiatives for the ARCA Re-Max series in 2005 is the new Mallory ignition box, and it mounts right on the dash. And quite possibly one of the reasons you haven't heard so much about it is that it seems to be working. ARCA President Ron Drager, tell us more. What is it? What's it all about?
Well, to begin with, the big picture of why we would look to limit RPMs is that engine builders have become so talented and have done so much research and development that they're building engines that can live for 200 miles, the length of an ARCA Re-Max series event, and run them at high RPMs. I'm talking 9,000, 10,000 RPMs. Well, if one team can run at 9,000 or 10,000, then the rest of the teams have to try to chase that. The problem, the internal engine components take a lot of wear and tear. You need to freshen the motor more often, and in many cases you damage those internal engine components. So we look to limit the RPMs by the use of this system right here. It's a Mallory ignition system. There are 2 ignition boxes, and there's 2 coils, and then there's a splitter where it runs off to the distributor. You can see that the wiring harnesses are all connected right there. It plugs right into the team's system, and we seal each of these connections so that they can't be tampered with. The boxes are also potted so that they can't be tampered with. We issue them on a random basis. This is number 167 plate and 167 C and D box, you can see. So we feel like at any given event, any team could get any plate, any set of boxes. If there happens to be a box failure, just like a normal system, flip a switch and go to the other box. It's a way of not only limiting the wear and tear on the motors, but it also sort of gives everybody the same limit to work from, 8,800 RPM.
Is this similar to what NASCAR is doing with their drivetrain, thereby limiting engine RPMs? The same concept?
Yeah, the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and NASCAR Busch Series has limited RPMs by the use of a gear ratio and a transmission ratio so that the drive line can only turn the engine so many RPMs. We're trying to accomplish the same thing, the only difference being we're using the Mallory ignition system.
And by doing that, they are limiting engine RPMs to 8,800, thereby letting the motor live longer and leveling the competition too. It's the new Mallory ignition box in the ARCA Re-Max series.
Folks at Mallory doing an outstanding job. As Don mentioned, we haven't heard much about it because they've run 70,000 race laps and 50,000 race miles, Ken Schrader, without any failures. And as a car owner in this series, you like this idea?
I'm a big fan of it. You know, they need to do something to limit the RPMs. This was also becoming a test bed, the ARCA series was, for some of the Nextel Cup engine builders where they were turning the engine in excess of 10,000 RPMs. See what they did after 200 miles, you know, to gear them up for what was going to happen over there. This is a lot simpler rule than the NASCAR went with. It's easier to police. The NASCAR truck and Nextel Cup and Busch Grand National is pretty complicated and labor intensive to police that rule, but this is a very good rule for the ARCA series.
Jason Jarrett having a bit of a tough day. His car number matches his running position right now, 25, Lindsay.
He is having a rough day. And he was telling his interim crew chief, Billy Venturini, that he just can't seem to feel the nose getting in. So they brought the car in. They had a very, very lengthy pit stop, and they added 3 spring rubbers into the left rear.
Well, Jason Jarrett hoping as we get set to go back to green. Billy Venturini planning on testing at Toledo in Kentucky and maybe returning to the series in Kentucky after that vicious wreck at Daytona. Even had him wearing a halo for a while. It's going to be interesting to see how now that rehab continues. We're back to green here at Michigan.
A little more interesting. Three spring rubbers, Kenny. That's quite an adjustment there. So
that's a big change. We'll just have to see how that works out.
Wow.
Jason's hoping that they're going to be able to move that to a two-car team. They're going to have to do a little moving and shaking and finagling, but the Venturinis are very interested in that same concept.
Well, we've seen the multi-car effort work very good. And the Venturini team has become stronger and stronger every year. So right now where they're at, another team would be a big help for them.
Big pack of traffic here as you watch from Ken Weaver's view. Look at this, 4 wide through the tri-hole in the front stretch. Wow. Well, we got some more smoke coming up at 62 Bazell.
Yeah.
Maybe they never got the tire rub fixed.
Well, they got some of it fixed, but they haven't got it all fixed yet.
Got to be so careful. That tire rub, again, it could cut a hole in that tire, and it could be a real disastrous day. So, again, you really need to get that car and get it fixed if it continues to smoke like that.
Right in front of Dominic Sparra in that blue number 2 up top.
Looks like an ex-Rusty Wallace car there.
Yeah, and he's got Eversole in the 08 getting just in front of him. That's a fight up inside the top 20. And back to the lead battle, which now is Kristeloff and Blunt. Blunt in the 67. And here comes Kimmel. He's moved up to 3rd. And again, David Reagan in that number 90 is 5th in line, but way back listed in 31st because he lost so many laps when he lost his tire.
Tough break for Reagan. Again, he's got the vehicle here today, but he's some 5-6 laps down. So unfortunately, he just needs to get out there, ride, and be careful, and don't tear that car up any more than it is. See the 7 car of Kyle Kristeloff. That's an ex-Hendricks chassis car, Terry Labonte car. He crashed that car in Nashville, and they made some major changes to the body of that car. And talked to Billy Gearhart, and he said, "Man, the changes we made were definitely positive." He says, "We're going to win this race here."
Bob Dillner with more on the 7.
Air pressure changes, as I was saying, Ralph. The name of the game down here on the front end of pit road. Kyle Kristeloff was a little bit tight. They took a little air out of that right front. Now he's very good to go. But the fastest car on the racetrack may be second place Chad Blunt as he pulls to the back bumper of that number 7 car. Also, air pressure changes for that team as well. He moved up 5 or 6 positions in about 8 laps during that last green flag run. He likes that car very well. Feels it is very balanced around this racetrack right now.
Sure seems to be working for him. He's just reeling in Kristeloff. But unfortunately for Blunt, reeling him in is Frank Kimmel.
But you're exactly right, Bob. Looking on the clock, Chad Blunt and Frank Kimmel are the 2 fastest cars on the racetrack, although it looks like Frank Kimmel's about a 1/10 of a second faster than Chad Blunt is. So these guys are in air. They're drafting a little bit, so sometimes that has a little bit to do with the quickness around the racetrack. So we'll just have to wait a few more laps and see how that irons out.
So the young guys, 2 of them up front, leading the old guy right now, Frank Kimmel. But the wily old veteran is not done yet.
Chad Blunt driving an ex-NBV Motorsports, ex-Jim Nemechek car with, again, Carl Wagner engines. He tested here. He will fly to Kentucky tomorrow and run the Busch race. Actually, he's going to have to fly there tonight after this race, and hopefully Chad will have a good run there in Kentucky tomorrow.
When they cross the line, they'll have 54 laps to go here at Michigan. Stay with us on the Speed Channel for all of it as we continue to bring you the ARCA Re Series Hantz Group 200 on Speed. Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway, the Hantz Group 200. Ralph Shaheen alongside Kenny Schrader, Dan Pardis in the booth. Working down on pit road for us today, Lindsey Zarniak, Bob Dillner, and Don Radebaugh. We're under caution once again because Mike Garrity just blew up the motor in his number 4 Hantz Group backed entry. And the leaders are making their way to pit road. And it looks like all of them are coming down. Lindsey Zarniak's with the 17.
AJ Henderson pulls into his pit stop. We're told they're going to take 4 tires, give it some fuel. Remember, guys, he was 3rd here last year. Right now, he runs in 4th. He had said that the car was a little bit loose, but they're hoping that they can just put on some fresh tires, give it fuel, and that's all they're going to need. Don?
With Frank Kimmel, right side tires already on the Advanced Auto Parts port board. They'll get left side tires too. All very much routine. They'll take a track bar adjustment. The car is a little tight, and make an air pressure adjustment as well. Bob Dillner.
Adjustments for Chad Blunt. He is away with 4 tires, and also away is Kyle Krisloff. A slight air pressure adjustment for that team. That car just a tick little bit tight still, but Billy Gerhardt, the crew chief on that team, says we're good to go from here on out.
Wow, good to go from here on out. That's a pretty big statement. Wouldn't you say, Kenny? I mean, we still got, we're on lap 48 right now. We've still got 52 laps.
Here's why we're under caution. There goes the telltale sign out the engine bay of Mike Garrity's number 4. Did a good job of getting right to the bottom, though.
Got right to the bottom. You know, sometimes you see the smoke like that, and it is not laying oil down. Sometimes it is, but he did a good job of getting out of everybody's way real quick.
What do you feel in the car just before that happens, Kenny? Any telltale signs that that's about to grenade on you?
It just depends what happens. Sometimes you feel a little shudder, and you can get her shut off in time. Sometimes you're going along and like a rod just breaks or something, and this is the view you don't want to see.
Mike standing outside the car in the red driver suit, arms crossed, frustrated as you would expect. As we said, a huge day for that team, as this is the Hantz Group 200, and a big weekend for them here. A lot of good things happening with that team, though. They did have a top 5 finish at Pocono, finishing 5th there. So a lot of good things happening for them. A little bit of momentum. They were hoping it would carry through here this weekend. Good look high above Michigan International Speedway, and a healthy crowd on hand here for the Hantz Group 200. Stay with us for more live on Speed, where Ken Weaver leads with 49 laps complete. For 80 years, a Goodyear blimp has been flying high above our country and giving great views like this one from major sporting events all across the country. And they're here with us today here at the Hantz Group 200. And we thank them for giving us the wonderful high altitude shots you've seen here today, especially on a windy day. I'm not so sure I'd want to be up there, Kenny.
I've never been up in a blimp. My wife has, but I don't think today's the day I want to go up there.
Well, I'm willing to go anytime they offer a ride up, but today looks like it'd be a little bumpy up there. The guy's doing a great job of giving us a good shot. There's Tim Steele, the all-time lap leader here at MIS, 3-time champion, 41 wins, 24 of those coming on super speedways. This young man's had quite a career driving in the ARCA series.
Talked to Tim before the race. Him and Lee Leslie are just trying to put a program together. He says, Dan, you know, as you know, it's all about money. It's about sponsorship. He says, I'm honestly out looking for sponsorship, trying to put a program together so me and Lee can run some speedways and then possibly turn that into a full-time program. He said, we came here today. We knew we were underpowered. You know, our motor's down some 20 or 30 horsepower, and that's big here at Michigan. He said, but I felt if we just stay out of trouble, be there at the end, we could have a great finish. And that's really, really what Tim Steele needs here today in Michigan.
HSI, longtime family-owned and operated company. Always on board with Tim. Let's head downstairs to Bob Dillner for more.
Well, the Gerhardt's talking down here on pit road, but what is unusual, we know Billy's usually on top of the pit box, but Bobby, you're usually in that Lucas Oil car. What happened? You're here in the pit box for Kyle Krisloff.
Well, apparently something broke underneath the hood, Bob. We made a bunch of changes this morning. Car was a whole lot better, but day just a little bit shorter than I'd like it to be.
Tough break for Bobby Gerhardt, and I just spoke to Billy once again because, Dan, I heard your comment on the fact that when I said they were good to go, they are talking about the possibility about going the rest of the way on this fuel tank load for the number 7 of Kyle Krisloff. I asked Billy, I said, you're really good to go with that many laps? He goes, kind of iffy right now, but let's just say we're getting very good fuel mileage.
Well, fuel mileage, of course, such a huge part of what you're able to do or not do here at Michigan. We'll have to see. I'm sure the calculators are on fire right now here at MIS. Stay with us. We're halfway home. Welcome back to the Hantz Group 200. You haven't missed a thing. We're just going back to green. We apologize for the technical difficulties. We're not sure what happened, but Schrader tripped over a cord while reaching for another candy bar, and the next thing we know, we were off the air.
I'm sorry, guys. It was an ice cream I was reaching for, but I did it.
He burnt the ice cream cooler up. We're fresh out of ice cream, so he's going for the candy bars.
Weaver leads the pack down into turn 3. 44 laps to go. Weaver, Miller, Pollard, and Brannon, the top 4 cars.
Boy, Ken sounded so confident, and that means so much at a racetrack, especially when you're leading a race. To feel that confident, Kenny, and be out front, that's a great feeling, especially at a fast, high-speed track like Michigan.
Oh, it most definitely is, and that team is just doing such a good job, and you know, their performance has been upgraded so much over the last year.
Second place, Joey Miller. That 90 car of David Reagan not running in third place. Reagan laps down in 29th. Behind him, Kyle Krisloff in that black number 7. There's your third place car. And right behind him is a number 75. That's kind of that brown and white machine that just got passed by Chad Blunt. The 75 is Bubba Pollard. And what a story this young guy is. His family has always been involved in stock car racing. In fact, his grandfather built a neat racetrack down in Georgia. Kind of came up with Reed Sorensen. In fact, if you talk to a lot of people in the area, they would say, well, Reed was better or Bubba was better. It just depended on which side of the fence and which racing t-shirt you like to wear. But earlier this winter, Bubba had the opportunity to go testing with Frank Kimmel down at Lakeland, Florida. Was so fast in the car. There you see Kimmel right behind him. Kimmel was so impressed that he brought him on board today for 3 races. We'll see him again before the year is out. In fact, this is actually a car from the Kimmel stable. Frank said, I'm not going to give the kid everything I got because he's just too fast. Don with more. Don Radeball.
Yeah, and in practice earlier yesterday, he was following Frank Kimmel around. He said when he finally got behind the 46 car, it took a full second off his lap speed. He kind of jogged something in his brain and said, oh, so that's where you're supposed to be on the racetrack. So they've learned a lot from Frank and Bill Kimmel. They set up this car for this track, and I think that shows. You got to consider this kid's only in his second start in this series here today. He's a former late model champion at Sonoya Speedway back in 2002. He did that when he was only 15, so we may be hearing more from big Bubba Pollard through the years.
There's a look at Kimmel to go a little bit further with the Bubba Pollard story to give you an idea of how much attention is being paid to him. Bobby Hamilton's crew is working his pit stall for him today, and keeping an eye on him are some of the folks from Roush Racing. Jeff Smith from Roush Racing, very, very impressed with him, has sent some folks over to keep an eye on him today. Ken Weaver has Joey Miller right on his tail. This battle for the lead is getting to be a really good one here today. 39 laps to go, and Miller is all over Weaver.
Talking to Joey, he said, Dan, I did not qualify well, which is unusual for me because I like to be on the front row. He said, but I got such a great race car. He says, when the tires start to wear, the car stays underneath me. That tight that you normally get to center here at Michigan where we normally shove the nose. He said it just doesn't have that. He said, and I know that means a lot. You look to the bottom side, there's a pass for the lead on the bottom side of Ken Weaver. And man, he's really on a mission. He's heading to the front.
Weaver pushed high up through the corners, and Miller tucked to the bottom. And right in the middle of that is Reagan tucking in behind Weaver, who gets a little bit of smoke out of the right front corner. And here comes Kyle Krisloff in the black 7. Oh, almost contact there between Miller and Weaver. And Reagan is right in the middle of this, and Krisloff would really like to get Reagan out of the middle of that, Kenny.
Oh, he definitely. Yeah, it's when someone's in the middle of that like that and they're 5 laps down, you tend to cop an attitude, you know. Now, obviously, he could get a lap back, but that's only if he can pass him. It doesn't appear that he can pass him to get his lap back, and right now, 1 lap back would be worth 1 position to him.
David Reagan so frustrated today on the very fast race car, the number 90. He's just dealing with the fact that he's laps down, and into the middle of that as well. Here comes Frank Kimmel. On board with Ken Weaver and Bob Diller. You've got more on it.
And Ken Weaver right now praying for a caution. We mentioned earlier in the show that car was tight. They've made some adjustments, but boom, all of a sudden on the racetrack, Ken just reported that it's getting even tighter than it was before. And that's why a couple of cars have gotten by him. They are hoping for a caution pretty soon.
The top 5 cars all running together. You're watching Miller and Krisloff. Weaver right behind him in third. Then comes Chad Blunt and Frank Kimmel.
We were just in front of Frank Kimmel. What even amplifies this tight position even more is when you get cars in front of you, it takes the wind, the air off the nose of that race car, which normally when you have the air going over top of the hood, pushing down on the front of the hood, well, you lose a lot of that downforce and even makes the shoves the nose even worse. So he needs to be in open air by himself like when he was in the league. But right now, that situation's just going to get worse.
Here comes Kimmel, freight trading right past the bottom side of Weaver. Weaver really pushing up high in the corners, Kenny.
Yeah, good thing it's one of those tracks where you can run all the way up there.
Yeah.
But that's what we all like about this place.
Like Kenny says, this is such a great racing facility because we have, as you run off the corners here, especially off of turn 4, you can really run way high. So if the car does push, you just stay in the gas pedal. It slows, unfortunately, because of the tight condition, it slows the car down, but you can keep the pedal right on the floor.
The top 3, nose to tail, Miller, Kristoff, and Kimmel. 35 laps to go here at Michigan International Speedway. It's going to be a great finish, and you're going to see it all live here on Speed Channel. Kimmel diving to the inside, and Casey Kane taking it all in as the ARCA Re Series thrills the crowd at MIS. Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway. We've had changes up front. Joey Miller's engine has let go in the number 9. Kyle Kristoff moves to the front, and Frank Kimmel moves into second place. Joey Miller down pit road, flames belching out of the pipes. His day is done. He's headed right to the garage. Wow. Don?
And I'm going to follow Joey Miller into the garage and hopefully get a word from him. If possible, they're on the move, but I did get indication from the crew that the motor is broke. And if Joey Miller won't mind, I might just jam this microphone through the window and get a comment. Joey, we're hearing broke motor. Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, I think the motor broke. Started losing power. What do you do? The Country Joe Racing Josh was doing good, but, you know, we had a good run going. What do you do?
Yeah, what you're going to have to do is load it way too early. Joey Miller out for sure at MIS.
He came into this race, Don, in second in the points, right behind Frank Kimmel, the driver, that orange number 46, who's now battling for the lead with Kyle Kristoff. He gets to the inside, and this looks like just a matter of time, Dan.
Yeah, it does, but Frank's been around this track. He's got a great spotter, Larry Clements. He knows what he needs to do. He wants to get that car out in open air so he can stick that nose when he runs through the corner. Having a little trouble do it with that Hendricks horsepower in that 7 car.
But Kristoff's really got the outside groove working.
Well, it's lap 71. Looks like it's about like we saw lap 7.
Joe Leonard is around. Johnny Leonard, I should say, in the 13.
Tough break for Johnny Leonard. Roller coaster ride for that team. Building a new team. Boca Bay Builders car. Just moved that team to Charlotte. Building a team. Great effort for him. Look for good things for that team here in the future.
So that'll bring out another caution, and that'll make everybody start thinking about that fuel mileage again, Kenny.
Well, that most definitely. See a flat right rear down there on Johnny's car, sure looks like. He's off the pace and slow going in 3, realizing he does have a problem. It maximized now.
But you know what? He didn't get a piece of that wall. That's a good thing.
No, and he realized he had a problem and was able to get it slowed down before, as you see the right rear tire down there. He's got it slowed down enough that he didn't get it turned around into the wall.
Yeah, Kenny, you're exactly right. As they looked at the right rear tire there, you see the sidewall of that tire just really flexing. You know that the gas man seen it, the film man pointed it over to the right rear, so let's get that right rear changed.
So, fresh set of Hoosiers going on.
All right, men, this is the yellow that, well, not everybody, but this is the yellow that most of them needed to make it the rest of the way on fuel mileage.
Yep.
How many laps under the yellow do we need, Kenny, do you think? Just a couple?
Well, if they pit in now, I mean, the guys that are going to top off, there's some that knew they couldn't make it, and they're going to have to hit pit road. I think there was a couple out there that are going to be able to make it just with a couple yellow flag laps.
Guys like Frank Kimmel, we heard from his crew chief earlier, they were thinking about it, and if they get maybe that 2 or 3 laps that they were looking for now, they usually should get, what, 3, you think?
Well, I would think you have to get 3.
Do these 2 tires, I'm going to set the right side down slow. They're going to flag me when full. We'll send you then. You got it?
Well, that sounds like Frank Kimmel. You think he's coming in? Yeah, they're up on the wall.
I will tell you when to go. Do not go on the jack.
Well, they were thinking that maybe they could go all the way, but it looks like now they're going to come in. Is this more an issue of tires, Kenny? Because I have heard some drivers say they weren't so sure about the tires and want to make sure they had plenty of good rubber left.
I really don't know. We've seen guys do real good here on the Hoosier tire wear. You know, it looks like they're going to put 2 tires on it and fill it up with fuel. I think before Bill knew he couldn't make it.
Just didn't want to let all the cars.
Didn't want to let them all know, because we see a lot of them coming in here.
Here they all come. Krislov, Kimmel, and Blunt down to Don with Frank Kimmel.
Right side tires going on the Advance Auto Parts support car. No more question marks here. This is just what they needed. Fuel to go the rest of the way here at MIS. Bob Dillner.
Tires just too important here in Michigan today. That's why Kyle Krislov is down on pit road during this caution flag. They knew they were going to be a sitting duck on all tires had they gone out there without pinning, but 4 tires for Krislov. He's out of here.
Frank Kimmel trying to do something he's only done here one time before, and that's make it to victory lane. That win was here in 1998. He finished second in 99 as a pair of third place finishes coming in 94 and 2003. Maybe the 6-time champ can get another one here today. 17 cars on the lead lap. Stay with us. We'll be back for more after this. We just went back to green, and Kenny Schrader has his driver out front. Kevin Hamlin leading here at Michigan with Hendrickson right behind him in second place in that black 17.
It's going to be hard for them to hold on because, you know, they've been out there for a while on tires, but they were buried back there, so they did what they had to do, and they knew they could make it on fuel. And now, see A.J. Henderson back there, but boy, there's a hungry pack behind them.
That's a fight for 5th right there as they split around Johnny Leonard. Ken Weaver to the bottom, Kyle Krislov to the top, and there they both go by, sucking the paint right off of Leonard. Wow.
25 laps to go, guys. We're ready to rock and roll. Seatbelts tight, new tires, full of fuel. It's time to go Saturday night racing, but it's Friday night.
And Terry Jones, who started 22nd today, sits in second, so he's having a good run. Now he's moving back a little bit in his 30, but he held on there for that restart as Weaver comes cruising by. Here comes a battle for the lead. Hendrickson to the inside. Has it by the nose. Can he complete the pass? Got it done.
I believe he's going to there. On that last lap, back there in traffic in 5th spot, we saw Ken Weaver had the fastest lap of the race, and now he's right there in view.
And here comes Frank Kimmel. He's inside of Krislov. That's the fight for 6th, as those two have been up front all day, and they're trying to get themselves back into position as Blunt comes along in the 67 as well. They're working past Jones in the 30.
Man, this is great racing. These guys, again, we're there 23 laps to go. Car feels good. It's time to stand on it. You know, there's really nothing to leave out because these tires will last for 25 laps hard. So if I'm Kimmel or one of them guys, I'm standing on the throttle. How about you, Kenny?
With more on the leader, here's Lindsey Zarniak.
The 17 did just come in, guys, and they gave him 2 left side tires, topped them off with fuel. I was talking to AJ earlier, and he said if there is any positive attribute to this car, it's that it can go the distance. The number 1 benefit is that this has endurance to last. He feels so confident he can win the race. He said this is the same car last year that he came in third.
Hendrickson doing a nice job today, running up front in the 17. And it looks like they fixed that loose condition in your 99, Kenny. He's running pretty good through 3-4 now.
We'll just have to see where it winds up. But, you know, let's see, that last lap, Frank Kimmel back in 5th spot had the fastest lap. So those guys are coming. Kimmel, Krislov, Weaver, who have been the dominant cars today. It's just a matter of time, and it's a matter if they have enough to, with 21 laps to go. But they are on a mission to get back there.
A.J. Hendrickson has never won an ARCA Re Series race. Only has 8 top 5s, and he might change that win column stat here today. Bob Dillner.
Well, Ralph, it looks like Ken Weaver has been shot out of a cannon. That car is now a rocket ship. They made an air pressure adjustment, a 4-tire stop, and he blew right by Kyle Krislov during that restart, who has been oh so strong today. I went down there and spoke to his crew, and he said, hey, this may be Ken Weaver's day. He thinks he can win his first ever ARCA Remax Series race.
He could do it. He is quick, but the quickest car on the racetrack, the only guy dipping into the 39s right now is Frank Kimmel. He is flying. Well, I take that back. There's one other dipping into the 39s. Aaron Crocker.
Yes.
She's coming from 8. Who knows? Here comes Kimmel past Hamlin on the inside.
Frank's got to run down the backstretch. Drives down in the bottom. Of course, the bottom preferred line here.
We see a challenge for the lead. It looks like right up in front of, out of Frank's windshield there, we see Ken Weaver right on the inside of A.J. Hendrickson.
He's been running quick laps, and he's going to run another one, and it should be enough to take over the lead. Down to the bottom goes Weaver and into the lead. Started second today. He's been flirting with the lead on different occasions, but bad news is the 46 is right behind him, and that car looks awfully strong.
Yeah, now that last lap with a pass, Ken Weaver was just a shade faster than Frank.
Kenny, we were talking earlier about all the great success Frank Kimmel has had in his career as he battles Hendrickson for second now and completes that pass. But we also talked about the fact he's only won here one time, which is really kind of hard to believe. As a race car driver, how do you deal with that when you have a racetrack where you've run strong, but you haven't been able to complete as many victories as many people think you have?
Well, you also mentioned you got to add his second place finishes in there and his third place finishes. Now what's happening here is he's getting held up a little bit by the 17. And that's allowing Ken Weaver to get out a little bit in clean air. With the 18 laps to go, he can't afford to let Ken get out there too far. You can see now he's putting a little distance on him.
Krisilov coming inside the 99 of Hamlin. And Chad Blunt comes reeling in right behind him. Stay with us. Ken Weaver looking for his first ARCA win. Speed Channel's coverage of the ARCA Remax Series is brought to you by Remax, outstanding agents, outstanding results, and by SK Hand Tool, professional tools since 1921. It has been a very interesting day of ARCA Remax Series stock car racing here at Michigan International Speedway, and we've got a battle for the lead in the closing stages. Frank Kimmel on the bottom in the red number 46, getting inside of Ken Weaver, the number 20. And Weaver sees his shot at his first ever ARCA win slipping by as Frank Kimmel takes over the lead on his way maybe to his second career victory in the ARCA Remax Series here at MIS.
Great pass up. You know, he's been catching them 2/10 of laps, guys, and the car is just so good.
One through the infield.
Mike Harmon.
Harmon, the 38's had a tough day today. Involved in an incident early on, bringing out, I think it was our second or third caution of the day. And he'll be another one. Well, let's take a quick break so that we can bring you all the closing lap screen here on Speed Channel. Stay with us for the conclusion of the Hantz Group 200 after this. Up next on Speed, you're invited to join the world's biggest tailgate party with the gang from Trackside, live from Michigan. Unscripted, unrehearsed, and always interesting. Tonight's guests include the King, Richard Petty, Ricky Craven, and don't miss NASCAR Trackside from Michigan tonight live at 7 p.m. only on Speed. Well, looks like they're getting quite a crowd down there already.
Darryl always told me when he talked to people, listen, now I believe him.
Are you going to listen since you're driving his truck tomorrow?
Oh, I have to listen to him. Yeah, he's my boss.
There's a look at the top half of the field right there. Frank Kimmel, your leader. Ken Weaver right behind him. And A.J. Hendrickson sitting in third.
Frank Kimmel, Dan Partisan in the speed booth. You copy? Hey, buddy, you're right where you want to be. You think you can break into victory lane for us?
Dan, the Auto Parts Ford Taurus has really been great all week long, and the guys done a great job in the pits. And we just keep it in a straight line, and everything falls our way. Hopefully we can keep ahead of these guys.
Well, good. We sure hope to see you at victory lane. Good luck, and man, you've been doing a heck of a job out there today. We'll talk to you later.
Here's a look at the race summary. 90 of the laps completed.
10 to go, meaning when they come by, which is still, they're not on 1 to go yet, but it will be a single file restart.
Good thing.
Yeah, they don't need to be double wide now.
No, it's what Frank wants to see anyways, that's for sure.
Been an entertaining race with those 13 lead changes. Ken Weaver running in second. Bob, you have more on him?
Well, his crew chief, Doug George, has been talking to him during this caution period. And Doug, the question is, does Ken still have a shot at the kingpin, Frank Kimmel?
Well, I think our car is probably a little better once the tires are cooled off, so it's going to be interesting here in these next 10 laps to see. I mean, it depends how like the caution stays out. Our transmission ratio hasn't been real good, so we're trying to get him to lag back a little bit, maybe try to get a run, but Frank knows what's going on.
He knows what's going on, but let me tell you something, guys. Before Frank Kimmel retook the lead there, they were trying to get Ken on the radio to calm down. He saw the 46 in his rearview mirror, and he was starting to run inconsistent lap times. They think now that he's behind him, he may actually have a shot to get past Frank Kimmel because he's a lot better behind Frank than he is in front of him.
Kenny, you've raced against the most intimidating driver of all, Dale Earnhardt. When that black 3 would come behind you, was it different when it was behind you or as opposed to when he was in front of you?
Oh, it's definitely different when it was behind you. It was about, you know, you knew what was going to happen about halftime. But no, I mean, there's just certain drivers. I mean, when they come up behind you, you just know. And not that Dale ran into you. It's just that you know he's going to be so close to you and get your car wiggling if at all possible. Just by taking the air off and loosening you up. And if you give him any kind of opportunity, he's going to have his nose in there. So, yeah, I mean, there's different guys. And Frank is the Dale Earnhardt of this series.
So for Ken Weaver, it might be better on his nerves to be the chaser and not the chasee. Well, one exciting award with the ARCA Re Series is the SK Professional Tools Award. And this goes to the crew chiefs, Doug George, sitting in 4th right now in the points. His driver is 2nd. Bill Kimmel leads it, 165 over Tom Sokolowski. And, well, his driver is leading right now. Lindsay has more on the 17, which sits in 3rd right now on the racetrack, Lindsay.
AJ Hendrickson just got on the radio with his crew chief, Wayne Soderington, and he said, I'm a little bit concerned about trying to pass the 20 of Ken Weaver. He said that he feels like the tightness in his car will probably go away because of all the cautions, and he said, you know, I'm really going to hold tight and do whatever I have to get by these guys.
Weaver with only one top 5 so far this year, 4th place finish at Kentucky. Boy, even a 2nd here today would be so great for him, and as he continues to work up through his career in what has been such an up and down season for him, as high as 4th, as low as 27th just a week ago at Pocono. Maybe his first career win. Here we go, back to green with 9 to go.
Boy, did Frank get going.
Great restart for Frank. Big help.
Chad, 1 on the bottom, trying to come up. He's going for 3rd, got it.
Chad's been strong all day. He's been up and back and forth, but he's got a good power plant underneath the hood. That car really driving well. I talked to Chad before the race. Tom Sokolowski said, man, I think we got the car to win here today. We made some changes. It felt really good in the happy hour. And said we could win this race.
AJ Hendrickson watches 3rd slip away, but everybody else watches the lead disappear. I mean, Kimmel found a whole nother gear.
You know, they've got the gear ratios figured out. Again, on these tracks, it's so important to get in the gearboxes and change your gear ratios. And Bill Kimmel's a master at this. Him and Frank been coming to this track for a long time, and it really paid off for him on that restart.
Aaron Crocker just gained 2 spots.
Aaron Crocker running in 6th.
Well, she just passed this 99 and the 7 in one real good move.
And those guys are right behind her. Hamlin and Kristoff, McCumbee behind them in 9th. Talking to Erin earlier, there she is in that red number 98, asking her about all the hype and hoopla following Danica Patrick's solid run in the Indianapolis 500. She said everybody's trying to compare me to Danica, and I just keep telling them, hey, I'm just Erin. Lindsay?
You're exactly right. She said that's the only way that she wants it. Take a look at this. She is getting a lot of help. That's, of course, Next Top Cup driver Casey Kane, who is, you're going to see in a moment, sitting on top of her pit box. And we're told that he's up there coaching her on managing the rev limiter. And a little bit ago, Ray Evernham, who was spotting for Erin, got on the radio. He said, Erin, how you feeling? She said, I'm feeling great when I'm passing these cars. And he said, I have to tell you, I think I might have made a mistake and put the wrong gear in your car. But hey, we're learning
for second. And one other tip on Aaron Crocker that's great news for all of us Speed Channel sprint car fans. Aaron told me earlier today she thinks she's going to run the Knoxville Nationals coming up in August. She'll have an ARCA Re Series event earlier that day at Nashville Super Speedway, where she debuted with the series. A 1 o'clock start, little airplane flight. You can make the A main.
Oh yeah, we used to always run Springfield in the afternoon when they go up there, so that's not a problem at all.
You'll see all that live here on Speed Channel. Both of those races, as a matter of fact. Weaver thought maybe he'd see that first career win, but Dan, if he finishes in third, that's still the best finish of the season.
Exactly.
It's a great day.
It's a victory for Ken Weaver and his team. They've struggled all year. They've been up and down. He's been in the top 5. Unfortunately, have some motor problems or blow a tire or something go wrong, get involved in an accident. But he's had such a great day here today. He's used his head. His car's exactly what he told us before the races. He said, Dan, I got a race car that I could drive from the bottom on the top anywhere, and I can almost flat-foot it. So he's had a great race car here today, and he's doing an awesome job.
And look at this fight. A.J. Hendrickson trying to hold off a Quinn, who's done a great job in that 32. He's in 5th, making an impressive run to the Roush gang. And Aaron Crocker's right behind them, trying to close in. And here comes Krislov inside of her. So he's not done yet. That's for 6, Bob. Give the spot to the 7 of Krislov.
Well, the 7 of Krislov having trouble out there right now. Remember, he dominated early in this race. He led a good portion of this. But Billy Gerhardt, his crew chief, told me, hey, this set of tires just way too loose. He can't get to the front.
I don't know. He's got smoke trailing off the left front, but he's coming pretty hard, and he's going to get O'Quinn with 2 to go. I think he's going to get him for 5th, don't you, Kenny?
I believe he's going to.
Krislov has been up and down, guys, all year. Some tracks been running again. He's another one that's had an up and down season, but man, this would be another victory for that team here today. As you see the car wiggle just a little bit coming through the corner, Kenny, that's not good.
But he hasn't done it yet. I just said I thought he would.
He's got 2 laps, basically 4 miles to get it done.
You see the cars as they bounce around. It's not the driver jerking on the steering wheel. That's the air buffing off these cars.
One more lap to go. Frank Kimmel looking for his 3rd win of the season. He saw the checkered flag at Kentucky back in May and at Milwaukee earlier this month. His first win at Milwaukee, and now his 2nd win at Michigan International Speedway, just 2 turns away. The driver of the Advanced Auto Parts Porsche back number 46 gets career win number 2 in Michigan. Chad Blunt takes the 67 home in 2nd. Ken Weaver gets his best finish of the season with a 3rd. Hendrickson, Krislov, O'Quinn holds off Crocker for 6th. Trackside is coming up next. Frank Kimmel's your winner. Stay with us. More great stuff coming your way here on Speed Channel from Michigan International Speedway. Frank Kimmel thrilling the fans along the front stretch here at Michigan International Speedway with a bit of a Polish victory lap as he takes the flag around, and he'll hang a right, head down pit lane towards victory lane here at Michigan International Speedway, a place he's going to be very excited to be in today. Taking the checkered flag with him, I kind of like that, Kenny, as we take a look at the top 10 results. It's kind of the old school way of doing it.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. I mean, some good runs for some guys here. Chad Blunt, that team definitely used it. Ken Weaver, I believe that's a career best. A.J. Hendrickson, you know, Brian Keselowski, a good strong run, 17th.
And making it into the top 10, or just out, yeah, top 10 was Walt Brand. Remember, he started all the way from the back after having that suspension issue. Joey Miller, tough day, finishing back in 28th after blowing his motor. David Reagan had a fast race car today, got laps down early, ends up 27th. Mike Garrity with the Hantz logos on the side of the car today, not where he wanted to be after blowing the motor in the number 4, finishing 31st. Well, victory lane's getting to be a busy place right now. Frank Kimmel's there. Our Bob Dillner is standing there, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to him real quick. But it was a very entertaining race today. A lot of great passing, a lot of great racing, up and down throughout the day. Bob, you take it away.
He is the kingpin of ARCA, and today he is the king of the Irish Hills of Michigan. Frank Kimmel getting unstrapped from his car. He's getting out, and he's won his second race here at Michigan International. Getting doused with Gatorade. Frank Kimmel just a little bit wet now in the face because a crew member got him right there, but he is happier than heck right now. Frank Kimmel, how about that?
Gatorade in the eyes. That's all right, and I'll tell you what a great card, Bob. The Advanced Auto Parts guys worked so hard, and the whole Pork team, we're getting showered by Gatorade. Can't beat that in Victory Lane in Michigan. Pretty special.
Pretty special. He moved by Ken Weaver for the win, and it's Frank Kimmel's day today in the Irish Hills.
And he moved closer to that 7th title that he's chasing to continue to etch himself in the Hall of Fame with the ARCA Re Series. This is quite possibly their greatest driver ever. Any last thoughts?
Just what a combination. Bill Kimmel, crew chief of the race. Frank's brother, they've been together for a number of years. It's going to be tough to beat him.
SK crew chief of the race will go to Bill Kimmel, Frank's crew chief. For Dan Partitz and Kenny Schrader, Lindsey Zarniak, Bob Dillner, and Don Radebaugh. I'm Ralph Shaheen. Congratulations to Frank Kimmel, the winner of the Hantz Group 200 here on Speed. So long, everybody. You're going off?